Hey, welcome to the Fervor Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Tale of Two Sisters. It's a 2003 Korean film directed by Kim Ji-woon, and I've filmed this a couple of times, and I'm really hating what I'm saying about it because it's like I have no other frame of reference other than I just showed up to my local movie theater that was playing it, and I expected it to be like a horror movie. I did not expect it to be so psychologically thrilling and disturbing. It was like levels and levels of disturbing. So I think I'm just gonna talk about the things I like about it. I'm not gonna go into telling you too much of the story. I think I'm just gonna talk about the things I liked about the film because as I was trying to explain in my other recordings, it was so confusing and I got bored. So if you really want to watch this movie, I highly recommend it. Maybe you watch it first, come back. Maybe you've seen it before and you like to hear me talk. That's cool. If not, you don't care. Well, welcome. Let's dive into my own thoughts, shall we? So first of all, I'm sorry guys, the lighting is dim. I don't really have a lot of lights in my apartment. I don't really believe in lights. No, that's not true. I just don't have a lot of them. I'll work on it. I'm figuring this out. Plus, the day is getting darker out there. I guess I could open these. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's a little better. All right. To continue. Yes, what are my thoughts? First of all, I thought this movie was awesome. It was so good. I did not expect the ending, which the ending made so much sense, and I thought it was just so artfully done. Like, this was a really good movie. So it's about like trauma and abuse and death, and so by the way, spoiler, I'm gonna ruin the movie. So again, if you've never seen it, too bad. This is happening. So you find out that at the very end, or at least like a third of the way, that the sister dies. And you learn at the very end of the movie how she died. And I just thought the way that the director, whoever was responsible for this movie, the way that they laid this out was so brilliant. It was based on a choice that the stepmother made in not helping the little girl who got trapped underneath a wardrobe that fell on top of her, and making the older sister feel responsible for her younger sister's death. How twisted. That was the most horrifying part of that entire movie, is when you realize that this stepmother had everything to do with the outcome and how this affected these two girls for the rest of their lives, period. You learn pretty quickly throughout, very consistent things that these girls, their mother, you get the impression that she's no longer alive, she's not in the picture, their father married a younger woman, they don't necessarily like this younger woman, and they don't get along with her. And there's this consistent theme throughout the movie that the younger sister is continuously victimized by the stepmother. The older one has a lot of attitude and a lot of arguments with the stepmother, but it's the younger one that tends to take on all the abuse given to her. She's the one taking the abuse from the stepmother. It's very interesting. But then you realize, kind of, because it was the stepmother's choice to not help the younger girl. And it's this symbolism, kind of. Maybe it's a metaphor of the stepmother is continuously victimizing, torturing, abusing this little girl because she's the reason that this girl died and stayed trapped underneath this wardrobe. And the reason that the older sister, is so attached to her younger sister, has such a close bond with her throughout the majority of the film, probably because she's trying to be the protector, because she wasn't able to protect her sister. Instead, in the end, she just walks out the door. She leaves, she doesn't hear anything. She threw some shade at her stepmother, and her stepmother's like, are you sure you really want to do this? Because what you do now will affect the rest, or the outcome, probably for the rest of your life, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. And it's said earlier in the film when she said that to her again. And so it echoes at the very end when she said that to her. Basically, she gave the stepdaughter, the oldest one, a choice. And she was very ambiguous about that and basically allowed the oldest to make this choice to abandon her sister, to let her sister die. How messed up is that? It is so messed up. And so the entire time you're watching this movie and seeing this haunting going on, and these just like, it just blew my mind. I'm like, wow, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. Like, sure, I could sit through some uneasiness and, you know, like people are kind of appearing. There's a girl underneath the door. This woman is like hovering over this one girl's bed and she's bleeding from the waist down, or the older sister's getting water and she smells something and she unwraps like a bleeding heart. A bird dies. Okay, I can handle that. But what it comes down to is like how disturbing and unhealthy and toxic this dynamic was between these two sisters and the stepmother and the choices the stepmother made. I mean, this is like way beyond Cinderella for me. Like, I can't even compare this dynamic to Cinderella. They're it's like 180 from that. This is a whole different type of direction. Really good. I thought the stepmother, or that woman they referred to her as, was brilliant. She was such a good actress. I think she did great in it. I wrote her name down. The actress is Yoon Jong-ah, I believe I'm saying. I'm trying. I'm not gonna say these perfectly. I do apologize. I thought she was fantastic. When you first meet her, she's like disturbing and unsettling, and there's something really uneasy about her. She's easily triggered, and then you realize that it's actually like the stepdaughter, the older one, Sumi. She's the one who's actually kind of taking on her, and I think it's because of this unresolved, like, I don't know if it's like circumstance, like hatred, something like this unresolved issues between those two, that she like takes on her form, like her stepmother's form, because she's just as responsible as the stepmother in like the death of the stepdaughter, like of the younger daughter. And so I thought that was really interesting, but also like how much like the older daughter like how she blames herself and who she also blames with it, because it's like they kind of really are in this they're in purgatory of this situation. They can't free themselves of it. Oh man, that was just wild. I'm still reeling. That was so messed up. It was good. It was really good. Yeah. So anyways, I highly recommend watching that. That was just, I did not expect any of that. I mean, I was like waiting, like I kind of assumed like, okay, this girl, like she's psychologically not okay. And then you kind of say like, well, no one's talking to the little sister. So, and then you find out she's dead. And like, oh, that makes sense because no one actually talked to her completely. And I thought that was interesting. Like, why isn't anyone talking to her except for the sister? And that made sense. Like, oh, this girl is like going through psychosis because she can't accept the death of her sister. And then she's kind of like, oh, then you see like, oh, she's blaming her. Oh, maybe this is why the stepmother seems strange, because she's like, who's playing her is actually mentally unstable, and who's the older stepdaughter. But also like, then you kind of question, what version who is the stepmother? Is she really that disturbing and demented? Or is she this calm, cool, and collected version that you see at the very end? But she makes that disturbing choice. So I thought that was like, oh, who are we really seeing? What's the real, like, what mask is she wearing, and who is she behind the mask? So, the aesthetics were awesome. I loved the manipulation of the lighting. It was very bright and warm. It seemed kind of campy. But I don't know if that's just like the 90s and early 2000s, just everything seemed campy, because I felt like life was more campy, so I can't really speak on that. But I did like the contrast of the lighting, like it's bright lights, it's gorgeous. I love the wallpaper. I think wallpaper is highly underrated. It was awesome. Like every room had just the coolest wallpaper. Like the placements of things again were just lovely, just well done. And I thought the lighting, the lightness and warmth really contrasted the dark themes in this film. So, oof, love that. It was brilliant. It was so good. Great. I don't know, that was a lot too. It was pretty heavy. Like I probably should watch it again to kind of get more things, because I think there's just so many things you could probably sit and find. So that was good, but wow. But I still think I need some time to process this. It was pretty heavy. So definitely check it out, A Tale of Two Sisters. If that's like what you're into, I think you will not be disappointed. If you've never experienced something like that, I think you just should, open your horizons. And it's okay to be scared sometimes. But oh my God, that's just a different level though too. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I will see you another time, probably soon, guys. All right, take care.